You won't believe the haunted sights and bites I found at the Carnegie Museum's Halloween party. I went to a Halloween bash at the Carnegie Museum, and it was like a haunted house, mixed with a dino park. I sampled some monster-approved snacks, wandered through halls of bone-chilling dino skeletons, checked out shiny stones in the mineral hall, and admired costumes that ranged from fairies to vampires. They even had ghost story sessions among the fossils and funky animal exhibits. So put on your costume, and let's dig into this mesmerizing museum-style Halloween party. So I rolled up to the renowned Carnegie Art and Natural History Museum in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. This was a one-night Halloween party for $24. When I walked in, there was a line to get some $5 alcoholic Jell-O shots in syringes. They went from orange, lemon, green apple flavors, and a cherry-flavored blood bag for $10 that I tried later. At 6 p.m., they opened the doors to the museum's natural history section. The Greco-Roman hall was transformed into a gorgeous buffet and bar area. The dramatic lighting and towering columns made it feel like stepping into an ancient banquet scene. Let's get a closer look at this stunning setup. The buffet was stacked with treats. They had crispy chicken fingers and chips, mini beef sliders, and vegan sliders to keep it veggie-friendly. You could grab a couple of slices of pizza, plain or pepperoni, with a side of chips, and at the end, they had a little graveyard of toppings and sauces, like tomatoes, lettuce, and some ghostly dips. First off, I treated myself to a popcorn ball for $5. Couldn't resist. Then I started with the chicken finger platter, with homemade potato chips for $9. Let's dive into this and see if it's as fantastic as it looks. Let's sink our fangs into these homemade chips first. Ooh, nice and crispy, but maybe a bit on the plain side. Now, for the chicken tenders with this spicy sweet chili sauce. Not bad, but the tenders could have used a little less time in the cauldron, kinda dry. I'd say 3 stars out of 5 for this monster munch platter. Alright, let's conjure up some courage and dive into that pizza. Alright, it's pizza time, and this platter's serving up 2 thick slices, either plain or pepperoni. Time to summon my inner pizza expert and see if these slices are scary good, or just terrifyingly average. Gee, this is a thick slice. Not bad. It's got that classic kitty pizza vibe, but honestly, it's mostly bread. The sauce is super sweet and not a hint of spice, and that pepperoni, well, it's a little ghostly in the flavor department. I'm giving these a solid 3 out of 5. Now let's move on to the other treats and check out the boozy section at the bar. Across the room, the bar was stirring up Halloween magic. Besides the regular sodas and beers, they were brewing some haunted specials: the Vampire Kiss, Hocus Potion, and Arachnid Lemonade. Of course, I had to grab the Vampire Kiss. It came in a blood bag and looked straight out of Transylvania. This drink is a spirited mix of alcohol and cranberry, so let's give it a taste. Let's get this cap off. Oh no. Oh my gosh, I got blood everywhere. This is really good. The Vampire Kiss drink is pleasantly sweet, with cranberry and some mysterious undertones of other spirits. Delicious. The blood bag packaging really seals the deal. I'd give it a solid 5 out of 5, no question. Alright, enough refreshments. The museum's open, and it's time to see their rare dinosaur collection. Yay! Dinosaurs! The Dinosaurs in Their Time exhibit has one of the world's largest collections of authentic dinosaur bones. None of that plastic replica stuff here. They've got a massive $200 million worth of dino fossils, uncovered over a century ago, back when folks had no clue how legendary these bones would become. Before stepping into the Jurassic playground, you pass by a glass-walled paleontology lab where bone experts are hard at work, dusting off dino remains and prepping them for display. Alright, let's step inside. Whoa, check out these prehistoric giants. They look ravenous. He must be really hungry to eat that. Gee, two massive long necks towering over everything. If you know the names of any of these dinosaurs, put them in the comments below. Let's get hands-on with these bones. This foot bone is giving total velociraptor vibes. And a smaller one that looks like it could be a baby raptor.
Yes, for sure.
This big guy looks like a Gigantosaurus to me. And these must be vertebrae.
I would have taken it by now, if I could. Did you get a chance to hear what all the fossils were? Okay, so this one comes from the Stegosaurus here, part of its spine, probably from the tail area. And then this one is part of Stegosaurus toe. And this one, we don't know what dino it's from, so to be funny, we just call it Chunkosaurus. Yep.
These two must be kissing cousins. Whoa, giant fish. This display on feathered dinos is wild. Apparently, some dinosaurs had feathers, connecting them to birds. And now, the pièce de résistance, two full T-Rex skeletons locked in an epic face-off. This Jurassic joust is definitely the star of the show. These must be Triceratops. Roar! Dino toes. What did you think of these dinos? I love them. Now let's see what other events they have for this special night of trick-or-treat. Upstairs, they had different types of crafts and collages you could make. They also had these cool overlooks, where you could get a better view of the dinosaurs. Outside of there, they had this expert pumpkin carver who gave us live demonstrations of his awesome pumpkin carving skills. After that, I went around the corner and found this secret, super fancy auditorium where they had live ghost stories. Let's listen to these terrifying tales.
William Thaw was a steamship and railroad baron, and unfortunately my poor William is no longer with us. Well, actually no one in the story is still with us. We're all dead, well, aren't we? Well, this is perhaps the most fascinating murder that's ever happened in American history. See, until 1890, we had lived in a home in downtown Pittsburgh. It was a rather demure, very mindful mansion that was down on Snackosaurus. It had a first floor hallway that was 12 feet wide with a bedroom on either side that was 40 feet long each. And I mean, really, it was a pauper's conditions. You can't expect me to live in that. I mean, us, we could not possibly live in that.
Perhaps one of the most evil men to ever live in the city of Pittsburgh was a quack Victorian-era physician by the name of Dr. Francis Tumblety. Tumblety would travel the world selling his own brand of snake oil medicine, which is medicinal herbs that may or may not have any real medical value. But for a time in the 1860s and 70s, he had his own office right here in Pittsburgh. Tumblety was known to have a surreal overconfidence and a haughty disposition. He wouldn't leave his office unless he was followed by a valet with 2 greyhounds in tow. One of the more disturbing stories about Tumblety is that he would enjoy bringing people into his office to examine a row of jars on a shelf. He would take delight in the horror of these people as they realized that the jars contained body parts. Human, female body parts, which he had organized by social class. Tumblety had gotten into many scrapes with the police and had a hate for the truth that was legendary. But the one thing he hated more than the truth was women. Tumblety would travel the world, as I mentioned before, and for a time he was in London in 1888 when, brace yourself, he was considered by Scotland Yard to be a very likely suspect to be Jack the Ripper. He was arrested by Scotland Yard, the police force of London, on a completely different charge of gross indecency. While he was in prison, the murders stopped. Then he was released, and there was one more murder, the most gruesome and terrifying of them all. Tumblety didn't wait around to be tried for the Ripper murder. He made his way back to the colonies. When he got back to the United States, he said that he'd been picked on by the British police because he was an American. But he accused the British police, every one of them, of being dyspeptics. They'd eaten too much pot pie, stale beer, and underdone potatoes. In 1903, Tumblety moved to the city of St. Louis, and there he would die, a rather wealthy man at the time. A few years ago, the History Channel did a retrospective on Jack the Ripper, trying to identify the killer as part of their show called Mystery Quest. Tumblety was their man. If Tumblety was in fact the most notorious serial killer of all time, is there something in his past that can explain such an evil? I'll give you this story that occurred during his time here in the city of Pittsburgh. Tumblety was riding on a horse just outside of town when the horse became agitated. It began to lunge and buck, and the next thing Tumblety knew, he was flying through the air. He hit the ground and died. The body was taken back to Tumblety's home and laid out in state for 3 days. The coroner arrived, confirming, of course, that Tumblety was in fact dead. But he determined that the Tumblety's body was too tall for the casket he had brought along with him. So, as was customary in such cases back then, he brought out a saw and began to work upon Tumblety's legs. And that's when Tumblety came back to life. So I ask you, where was Tumblety for those 3 days when he was dead? I'll leave that to you, but I have some very strong suspicions of my own. One more thing. I think it's a bad idea to build anything where that used to be, where that office used to be. But if I ask you, what would you build at the former office of Jack the Ripper?
Upstairs are different sections of taxidermied animals. In this African animal section, they laid out lanterns and scary lights. They turned off the lights and then told ghost stories in the dark. Let's listen in.
Spent the day high above the city in one of the new office buildings there. Late in the afternoon,
Turning the corner, I stepped right into the Hall of Minerals and Gems, where I saw glittering crystals and jewelry, gleaming gold, and even a mystic crystal skull. Oh my gosh, that's so pretty! Oh wow, it's seriously beautiful in here. Everything's so sparkly. And here's the real treat, an exhibit on mysterious crystal skulls. Let's lean in and see if she spills any ghostly secrets.
They couldn't have been carved by ancient people. That they were machine tool. So that the Aztecs did, and other Mesoamerican people did have skulls, but nothing this big. And then another man who considered himself a big adventurer, and he had like a radio broadcast where was always like looking for adventures. So in one of his broadcasts he said that he found one in a cave in Mesoamerica someplace. And the dates kept changing that he found it. And so when he died, his daughter took the skull, and she lived to be 100. So for about 80 years, she had the skull and would charge people to have like a private visit with the skull. And she was always telling stories like if you held it near a computer, it would crash. That there'd be blue flashing lights coming out of it. That you could put a curse on somebody by looking at the skull, and it would, you could kill them, So this one was made in 2004 for the tourist market. So it isn't an Aztec skull. And you can have candy if you want.
Thank you.
After stocking up on a stash of candy, I explored the rest of their rare and sparkly rock and gem collection. Look at that gold. Oh my gosh! After that, I wandered over to their rare taxidermy animal collection. What's in here? Very curious indeed. Entering this room felt like a walk into a haunted zoo. These preserved animal specimens look straight out of a mad scientist's lab. Golly gee whiz, we found another bar in the wild. This section was a touchy-feely section where you could examine the animals up close and even touch some of them. Over here was a special bar where you could pay to mix your own magical alcoholic drinks. This sculpture of an eagle was made entirely of ivory. In this room, we had live conservators, cleaning and preserving and explaining how they take care of the museum specimens. This is one of their gift shops with Natural History Museum gifts. Let's look through here and see what goodies they have. I don't need an Egyptian cat. I could use a dinosaur lunch bucket. This is a real baby T-Rex. These bug specimens are interesting to me. I love rocks and gems. Some plastic dinosaurs to play with. Before I left, I took a stroll through Oakland to see one of their famous sculptures. It's Dippy the dinosaur. There was much more to see at the Carnegie Museum, so I'm sure I'll be back. I have more fun and mysterious content on my channel to watch, so please hit that like and subscribe button for more. Until next time, have a safe and happy Halloweeny.